All right, this is Thor again, and in this video, we're gonna go over how you can help a dog learn to, he has a problem with, he doesn't like hands approaching. Yes, that's his demand barking. He really likes the treats I have. So what I wanna do for this, yes, that's not gonna help. That's not gonna get you the treats. So what I wanna do is I want him to practice having a hand approaching. I'm gonna go over a number of things here. I'm just doing this to get him to stop barking. So I'm going to go over a couple things. So the first thing I do is I ask the dog to sit just as an indication that he feels comfortable. It's right over there, buddy. And if I ask to sit once, he won't sit, then I don't ask multiple times because he's saying I don't feel comfortable in sitting. That puts him in a bit of a disadvantage. Sit. So what I'm going to do, I reach a little bit, yes, and I give him a treat. Reach, yes, treat. Might also reach, yes, treat. Reach, yes, treat. So I'm only going to reach partially towards him. And if he gives me any cutoff signals could be him turning his head to the side. See how his ears are up? They might flip back or come very far forward. He might bare his teeth. He might lower his head. He might back away. He might get stiff. His mouth is closed right now. With you guys, it should be more open. You're going to give me an open mouth? And that's a more serious, that mouth is open. With the mouth closed. When the mouth is open, that's a little bit more relaxed. He could also look at you with what we call whale eye, a lot of white of the eye and freezing. His eyes get very big when he's not liking something. You might see his pupils dilate. He might roll over and show you his belly. That's submissive. Don't interpret that as like, yes. As he's saying, oh yeah, now you can touch me. He's saying, please don't touch me. If he walks away and runs away, he won't come to you. Those are all his way of saying, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to do this activity. So go ahead and get that one. We have to have better camera presence. This is LA. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to gradually sit. And if he doesn't want to sit, I can do it standing. Yes. So I move my hand towards him. I pull it back. I say yes. What I'm marking is him not biting, not necessarily not biting, but not feeling uncomfortable about the situation. But if I move too far and I get too close and he gives me those warning signals and I continue, that's when a bite's going to happen. Now the bite might come right after a warning signal. So this is an exercise you probably want to do after a nice little walk, give him 10 minutes to recover, and then practice. Sit, yes. So eventually you want to go at all sorts of different angles. See, he leaned back just a little bit, and that's so subtle, but that was his way of saying that was too much. So I'm going to do it again, and I stop sooner this time. So we want to stop before he needs to warn us. And after a while, then I can go, at first I might be able to go this far, yes. And then eventually I can go this far, yes, and that he leaned away. So for his lean away, that's his first signal. That's a little bit much for me. I'd like you to do this in like 1 to 2 minute practice sessions. Use these salmon treats. Sit. Yeah, I know you're comfortable in sitting, so I'm going to wait for him to do it on his own now. Yes, it's a little piece. Do it like 1 to 2 minute practice sessions. Do it all over your place except for in the bedroom. And so we just want to get him used to it. Now, there's other things that we can do. Come here, buddy. Let's talk about shaping. Shaping is a training technique where if the activity we're doing is either too difficult for the dog or too complex or too many steps. So what I can do for this is sit, yes. And if you notice, I'm having him lick the treats off a flat hand. He doesn't like hands approaching him. But if I hold the treat out like this and he approaches it, he's approaching a flat hand. And notice I left my hand there and he licked it a little bit afterwards. And now the hand is still there and he's comfortable. Now he could all of a sudden like be cool with this and all of a sudden start growling or getting stiff. Then I would slowly remove my hand. So I can also do shaping, which is what I started talking about. Shaping is basically what I want him to do is just look at my hand. Yes. Yes. He just did an eye dart. He didn't look at my hand. Now he's looking at the treat. So I'm going to put him here. Oh, that's okay. So I moved to the side. So that was a little bit much for him. So, but again, he didn't take it further because he didn't need to. Yes. Now also I noticed that when he's calmer, he's not as toothy. Yes. So shaping, all I want to do is look at my hand. Yes. Now I can hold it out here like this, and I'll do this with a little bit, I want to say machine gun, but we'll do several of these at once. So what I want to do is look at my hand. So I don't want to look at him the whole time, and I'll keep my treat here. And let's see if he'll look at my hand. Now the motion often will make him look at my hand. Yeah, it's this little demand barking. and you're getting a little bit stiff. So if you feel at any point that he's getting a little bit stiff, stop the exercise. So I'll switch hands. Sit. Yes. There we go. Yes. So he getting up is also an indication he doesn't feel as comfortable. Yes. So I'm just saying, just look at my hand. Yes. So after a while, he'll start looking at your hand easier and easier. Yes. Just like he is right now. And so for him, he seems to be a little bit more triggered on the left than on the right. And his right, my left. So there we go. Now I can also just go back to offering a treat in my hand if I feel like there's a little tension, getting him approaching my hand, and just leaving it out there. So eventually what I'd like to do is, at first he is reaching towards, looking at my hand, then he's gonna lean a little bit towards my hand, and eventually he might touch my hand. Look at that, what a smart puppy. And so the idea is we're being passive. He's the one initiating all the contact. So he gets to control the game. And if he moves away, stop playing. Look at that. So we'll stop playing. So then I can go, also there's a hand targeting exercise that I'd like the Guardians get to, but this is something that I think right now we just want to get him used to a hand approaching him. Yes. And then he's getting the treat. Or I can just hold the treat on the hand and have him approach me. This is kind of more of a baby step version. I would like to have the practice of the hand approaching him, but moving away before he feels triggered. And I didn't mark that one, so let me do that again. Yes, and then it goes away. So after a while, he just starts feeling more and more comfortable with the hand approaching him. The hand approaching me is a precedent. It means I'm about to get a treat. And eventually it gets to the point, eventually we'd like to get to the point where we're like literally coming a little bit behind his head. And that's gonna be a little bit harder. So you might have to practice a little bit longer. Eventually when you get to the point where you can touch him, but you're close enough, just don't touch him. And then eventually when you do touch it, just like a very light touch and very immediately pull your hand away, but try to avoid big sudden movements. And eventually you'll touch him a little bit longer. You know, at first it's just like a fraction of a second. And then it'll be, you know, a quarter of a second, and then a half a second, and 3/4 of a second, and then a full second, and then maybe 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 4 fingers. This is gonna take probably, because of how aversive he, or how much he doesn't like hands approaching, this might take a couple weeks. So remember, the goal for this is to get to the point where you can reach and touch him, and then he say yes, and he gets a treat afterwards, and he's very comfortable about it, not to get through it quickly. The goal is the end result. And so that shaping thing is a nice thing. So different people might have different levels. He might have different comfort levels. Mom is like his favorite person. And so I'm moving, so I'm offering a treat here before I move to kind of help him feel comfortable. But somebody else might be able to only go this far, or somebody else can go a lot further. Now, if he's sniffing you, just be passive, except for Mom. But if he's sniffing me, I smell like other dogs, yes. That's a good interaction. That's a healthy way that dogs should interact with us. And I want him, but again, I'm being passive. I'm not trying to pet him. Now, one last little thing for body language. If I'm leaning over him or reaching over him or towering over him, that can be a problem. If I have like a leash or things that are dangling down, that can be a problem. So try to have, when I'm moving with a dog, I'm trying to move almost like I'm underwater. I call it fluid movements. I don't want to have a herky-jerky, yes, movement. That was a little bit herky-jerky, but it was okay. And again, he's approaching me, getting a treat. The other thing is the way we were doing the other video about the here exercise. He's approaching an empty hand. Or that one is actually a full hand where we do it. And so, yep, yes. And I can do it like this as well. So I'm going to do a warm up. Yes. 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 Empty hand. Yes. So that's what I mean by a warm-up. I just did 5 or 6 in a row, and I was starting to kind of cup my fingers together, so making it harder for him to see. But he just approached, got a treat. I said yes right before he got the treat, and he walked away, walked away, walked away. And then I go, and I can go back to here. There's one there. Yes. Yes. Look, make it look like it. Yes. And then I put the treat there. So I'm getting him used to approaching the hand without, and there's no treat there, but then even after I touch it, then a treat appears. That's hand targeting, which we can message me when you get to the point where you can touch his collar, and I can show you the hand targeting exercise. It's really like this. Well, yeah, but I think it's just too much and too early for him. All right, well, this is my buddy Thor, and these are some tips you can use if you have a dog that does not like having hands approach his face.